Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. We got missed by rain last night. I'm going to take a picture of a cornfield out by our ranch, and I'm going to share that on Facebook so y'all can see how we are burning up here. Hey, Nicole. Hi, Lee. I don't get to see you very much, Lee. Thank you for joining us this morning. Good morning, Tracy from Wisconsin. So we had, I think I seen on the news last night, we had 106 yesterday and no rain. I seen one of my clients post on his Facebook page, the eastern side of the state has not had rain for a month. And unless they got some last night, they had not had rain for 29 days and temps have been in 100. So if I remember, I'm going to stop and take a picture of the cornfield because the corn's like, I don't know, a couple feet high maybe. I don't even think I don't know if it'll even make 3. And it is just burning up. And that is, like, the western side of the state got rain again. Thank God. But we are not doing so good on this side. Hey, Dusty, how's it going this morning? Nicole, we will meet again after your health approval comes back. Once the insurance company lets me know that the insurance rating you have, then you and I get to meet again and talk about all that. Good morning, Scott. German Yankee. I'm a little too far west, but I'll take it. Thank you. Hey, so those of you that are listening, if you know, thank you, Scott, for jumping on. Scott's son has a apparel business or promotional items business where he does a lot of logoed stuff. But he has a super cool t-shirt that they are selling, and then they're going to give some of that back to a nonprofit that helps military veterans that are farmers. If there is a nonprofit, if you know of a nonprofit that helps military veterans that are farmers, please post it in the comments. And then Zeke is going to pick one of those to donate some proceeds to. So awesome cause. And good kids. So if you know anybody that has a nonprofit that helps farmers, veteran farmers, let us know. I did post it on the page the other day, but Facebook, they don't always share everything with everybody. So, all right, for those of you, I will get started. Good morning, Tom. For those of you that do not know that are watching, we always have 1 or 2 of you because obviously we have a lot of new people every week coming in to like the page. So for those of you that don't know, I am Mary Jo Irmen, and I am the author of Farming Without the Bank and Life Without the Bank. So some of you are watching on the Without the Bank Facebook page. And so I leave some comments over there too. I may not see them right away, but I will answer them. And I am an infinite banking practitioner, so I teach the infinite banking concept written by R. Nelson Nash. Okay, before I get started today, this is what I have learned this week. Because I'm always learning, right? So this is what my hair. So this is what I've learned this week is that if you buy the audio book, so all of these books are in audio. This one you have to go to Nelson's website to get it, infinitebanking.org, and you can get this one in audio. You can also get these in audio on my website. Here's the deal. If you do audio, you may not completely get the whole gist of what we're doing here because you're not going to see numbers. I have graphs and case studies in the book that illustrate how we are going to use this for financing, if you can see that, okay? I send those to you if you get the audio book. But I have noticed people that buy the audio and listen to the audio are not completely grasping everything that I am trying to explain in our meetings. And we're 2 or 3 meetings in and we still don't get it. And so I had a client this week that I had talked to him about a month ago, and he was ready to do applications and all that good stuff. And I just said, no, we're not doing anything because the questions he's asking were all covered in here. But he listened to the audio and he only listened to it one time. And so there are things that I'm not going to write a policy on you if you're not understanding what's going on. Just not going to happen. If you want someone else to take your money, by all means, you can go there. But it's not going to be me, so that you come back in 5-10 years from now and say, or 3 years from now, and say, Mary Jo, you're a joke. This doesn't work. It does work. We have to think long term. And all of that is gone over in the book. So if you get the audio, you may also want to add on the hard copy, and you can get that in a bundle on the website. If you go to the store, all of these are on there and they're in a bundle. The other one that a lot of people are skipping over is Warehouse of Wealth. This is Nelson's second book, and it's very good, and there are no numbers in there. But if you really want to understand the concept of warehousing your money, that is a good one to get as well. So if you've gotten everything else, grab that one. Good morning, Jim. Okay, enough of that. I just wanted you guys to know, because some of you jump off after I get going. Okay, this week we had some pretty interesting meetings. As you can see in the comments, it might get a little interesting this morning. I had a gentleman that was 69, and so I do not talk to people that are 69 years old every day of the week. I have to tell you, I talk to a lot of people every week, but they are not always this old. Not that 69 was old, and the guy didn't seem 69. But it's hard to do a policy when you're 70 plus. There is creativity in the structure. And so he may be coming into a lot of money. And we have to figure out, how are we going to get $1 million to $2 million into a policy? What does that look like? And all that good stuff. Now, he's not sure what he's going to do with it. He is looking at Airbnbs. He's looking at buying some land or some rental properties. There was one other thing he was going to do with it. Oh, start a in-home elder care facility, which are becoming kind of a big deal. And I think it's great if you know what you're doing in that aspect. But where they basically take a house and they turn it into an elder care facility, and then you just have a cook and you have a nurse on staff, but everybody basically rents a room and they all live together in a house, and we don't have all the restrictions of a nursing home. And they have really taken off. I've talked to a couple people now that are doing this, and they have really taken off with COVID because the nursing homes won't let people in. But these facilities, you can do whatever you want. I suppose until Big Brother decides not. But anyway, he has some options of what he wants to do, but he doesn't know exactly what he wants to do. Which led us to I wasn't able to really say, okay, this is how we can borrow money from the policy and then buy a facility or buy a rental property, because he very much needed to see it in what he wants to do. And so once he gets that piece figured out, it's going to be easy to come back and visit again and really look at how that structure is going to work. But here's the thing that surprised me. Because I don't run these illustrations every day, I will typically split an illustration 75-25 or 60-40, meaning 75% of the premium is going to go directly to cash value. And you guys can see that in the book. That's how it's split. Well, with him being 69, I thought, let's see how it works if I split it differently. And so I did 30% to cash value instead of 75% to cash value. Now, one would think it would be awful. I mean, 75% of our money or 30% of our money going to cash value. Clearly, what I would have thought 30% was worse. However, that is not the case. The 30% was worse for the first 10 years. Then after that, or even the first 5 years, 5 to 7 years, and then after that, the 30% was better. So it was really a matter of, does he want the money up front or do we want it later? And this is what a lot of people do not understand about life insurance, is that we can have it now or we can have it later, okay? For infinite banking, we are setting these policies up to have it now. But a good old traditional whole life, you're going to have to wait 20, 25 years to break even in the policy. But that is not the case long term. What's going to make more money? Is it going to be traditional whole life? Is it going to be infinite banking? It is. Obviously, it depends on age and health and all those sort of things. However, in this case, I said, what is most important to you? Well, considering he's living off of Social Security and an annuity, he wants it later, and that was more important to him because his parents both lived to be 97 years old. And he looked like a very healthy guy. So we have to kind of weigh out all those options. What does he want to do today with that money? Do we want access to it now so that we can create the cash flow for him to have later and we don't need it in the policy? Lots of things for him to think about that obviously he didn't know to think about, and things we need to address next time we visit. So I learned a little something even in that meeting with illustrations, because I just don't run them on people that are 69 years old every day. I had another client this week that they had sold the family ranch. It got divided. He also had a little over $1 million. He took some of that money and paid off the ranch, or paid down the ranch that he's on now, and paid off a lot of equipment. So what did this do? That freed up $110,000 a year of payments. That is what he was making in loan payments. Now they're gone because they're paid off. So if you've read these books, right? If you've read any of the books on infinite banking, you understand you should be an honest banker. And if that 110, he had to come up with it every year to pay the bank, and now he used cash to pay it, what should he do with it? He should be paying it back to himself. So that policy premium should be $110,000 a year. But we also have an extra $1 million sitting over here that we are going to need to shuffle into that policy as well over time. And so how he wants to do that is completely up to him. I could come in and be like, oh my gosh, we could do $200,000 a year, no problem. We could, if he's honest, but we have to have some flexibility. He's got to be able to pay it, all that good stuff. And so he can do whatever he wants. We looked at, like $100,000 and slowly moving it over. But then once that's gone, what did he do for, 7 to 10 years that we were moving inheritance over, what did he do with his 110 he saved? And so in those circumstances, we usually end up never touching the policy because we have a lot of cash. So we're going to move over inheritance, and then we're never going to go to the policy for a loan because we have all this cash and we keep spending it and we keep being dishonest bankers and we never pay ourselves back. And we just keep going buying things, right? So we have to think differently. And this gentleman too was in his 60s, I believe. And so changing that thought process is going to take some time on his part and so a lot of education. But he gets the concept. It's just he needs so many things. And finally in life, he has an opportunity to do that without having all this debt. So that was exciting as well. We also talked about the fact that he is going to leave the ranch to his 2 children. They are actively helping him on the ranch. So not only should his wife and himself be insured, but he should be insuring the 2 kids. And he has the daughter-in-law. He owns a business with the daughter-in-law because he gave her a little bit of this money to start a business. So now he is part owner of that business as well. So he can also have a policy on the daughter-in-law, which is not a bad idea. Because if there should be a divorce, if she should pass away, the business that she started was like a clothing, jewelry type business. And so guess what? He's probably not going to go buy dresses to make up for her being gone, right? Because he's a guy. And he's a cowboy. And he could probably tell you what kind of cowboy hat to wear, but he may not be good in the dress department. So anyway, that was an interesting conversation too, because he had not thought to insure the children. And we don't need to put a lot on them. We're going to put the majority on mom and dad because we want to create generational wealth. Okay? So we are putting the majority on mom and dad and a little bit on the kids. We are not going to go all hog wild on the kids. That is not going to create generational wealth for the children. That's only going to create generational wealth for the grandkids. Okay. And then I had a couple people, not ideal meetings, but a couple people that just didn't know finance. And I had to pull out a little Dave Ramsey. This is why I don't teach budgeting. This is why I don't talk about it. Because one of the gentlemen that I talked to this week has lost 2 farms, 2 pieces of ground in two different times. Okay. And he had no numbers. And I said, well, you get an email. Because when you schedule an appointment with me, you get an email of what I'm going to need. So he ignored it. He said, oh, I just ignored that. No, you can't ignore it. If the meeting lasted maybe a half an hour. I ended the meeting. I can't help you if I don't know the numbers. He did not know any of his numbers because he is not the one that keeps his books. His brother keeps his books. Then the brother should have been in the meeting. Because I can't give you advice, and it would be horrible if I did give you advice when I don't know the full story of what we're doing. Now, that is what Dave Ramsey would do. That is what Susie Irmen would do. That is what most of these talking heads would do, is just give you some blanket advice and not know crap about what's going on in your financials and who's got the farm and who owns this and who owns that. In this situation, there's 8 other siblings that own pieces of ground. There is a lot going on here, and be darned if I am going to start giving advice on how to set things up and how to do things, and I have no numbers. No idea what it costs us to plant and seed, or for seed and chemical and fertilizer, and no idea if there's loans on anything. I can't help you. So you have to know your stuff before you call. Another guy, same thing this week. $33,000 in credit card debt. No job, could be working, no job, living at home, doesn't even have a vehicle. I said, how come you don't have a job? Well, no, get a job. There's no excuse to not have a job. Single father, there's daycare. No excuse not to have a job. $33,000 in credit card debt. Everything was passed off to the ex-wife. Still, did take accountability for the fact that some of the credit card debt is his, that he keeps buying things that he thinks he needs. You need crap. When you have $33,000 in credit card debt, you need a job and you need to get it paid off and you need to get an apartment and you need to get a vehicle. Okay, I am not your girl that is going to sit here and say, "Oh, poor you." That I'm not her. Sorry. Well, she made me do it. She made me buy this. She made me sell this. I said she had a gun to your head. Now that could be a real thing. I'm not going to discount that. Okay, that could be a real thing. But you get to decide. You have a mouth. You sign the check, just like today's podcast. If you have not listened to my podcast yet today, I'm not going to get on that rant here because I ranted about it on my podcast. But you are the one responsible for your finances. Don't be blaming the bank and the credit card companies when you are the one that is swiping the card and writing the checks. You have got to take some responsibility for your finances. And if you don't know them and if you don't pay attention to them and if you don't have a job and if you're not trying to do whatever you need to do to get out of debt, I am not your girl. I am not going to be able to help you, and I am going to try to be as nice as I possibly can. But I am going to push that responsibility back to you. Those people need Dave Ramsey. They need Dave Ramsey's get out of debt, whatever he's got going, his budgeting course. Okay? I don't offer that. I'm looking for people that already know how to manage their finances to some extent. Thinking about money and utilizing money differently is a whole different ballgame. But if you come to me with so massive amount of debt and you don't even know where it came from, not your girl. These two in particular, we cannot, this victim mentality of, oh, life's got me. And I see this on my ads that I run on Facebook. Oh, the farmers are getting the short end of the stick all the time. Okay, so tell me a business owner that's not getting the short end of the stick. Tell me a business owner that is not fighting as well. Are these people that own apartment buildings, are they getting handouts because their renters don't have to pay due to COVID? They're not getting anything. They may lose their properties. Hurricanes come through, wipe out stores, wipe out businesses. I have several clients who have had to file bankruptcy or who have lost their businesses due to COVID. Who is helping them start over? We get to choose if we are going to be the victim or if we are going to start asking the questions, how can I get out of where I'm at and go to where I want to go? We have to ask the right questions and get our mind in the right spot. We cannot sit back and think somebody is going to take care of us. No, not on my dime. You're right, Steve. It is about work and being business savvy because it's a business. And so we need to run it like a business. We can't just plant and harvest and think that the bank is going to give us the money because the banks are overlent. They don't have the collateral they need. And so put yourself in the banker's position. If you don't walk in knowing your books, do you think that if I came to you and said, hey, I need $1 million, but I have no idea what it cost me to operate. I don't know. I have no clue. I don't know what I'm making. per head of cattle. Do you think that you would lend me some money? Probably not. Okay, had another guy, and his wife had a really good off the farm job. He had a food truck, and he's got some hogs, and he loves his hogs. So they want to expand the hog operation, and they want to buy some land. But where they're at, we are looking at $5,000 to $20,000 an acre. That's insane. So for them, it was really just about, do we use the cash on hand to pay off some of our debt? And my suggestion was no. Their debt is fairly minimal. Like, they have 3 loans. Their debt is fairly minimal. Their interest rates are very low. They have a massive amount of equity in their home. But I'm like, if you guys want to expand the business and add on to the food truck or add more hogs, they want to do some direct to consumer, because the guy that they get their beef from, this is awesome. The guy that they get their beef from doesn't want to deal with customers. So he is happy to sell them however many head they want a year. They can have them slaughtered, sell them direct to consumer, basically for him. He'll sell them at his wholesale cost. What a great relationship. Not every rancher is made to deal with customers. And so if you don't want to deal with the customer, find somebody that does. And in this case, he can find somebody that has lamb, he can do his pork, he can do his beef, and he's right there all the time, right, with his food truck. So he can sell it right out of his food truck. Absolutely awesome. Super excited to see how they expand. But they're very smart and very frugal, but they came from nothing too. She was telling me how broke they were when they met and how they had absolutely nothing. And so they started with a hot dog stand, and now they've got a food truck and doing fantastic. But we need to create cash flow for them and keep that cash flow coming. So excited about that. I had another young guy this week that has a really good, they don't farm. He has a really good job, and he was contributing, or is contributing, 15%. Now here's the thing. His employer will match 1% of the first percent, and then 75% of the next 6 or something like that. So he basically has to contribute 6% to get a 3% match. I put the numbers in my calculator, and if he contributes 6% for the 3% match, he makes a few $1,000s after fees. He makes a few $1,000s in his IRA versus putting it into life insurance. So I just put his numbers in, okay, what he's really doing. He's contributing 15%. They're contributing 6%. Guess what was interesting here? He was putting so much in that the fees were so astronomical, he actually lost $100,000 versus just putting all 15% into a life insurance policy over his lifetime. The more you put into your 401k, the bigger the fees are, because they take the fees based off of how much you have in there. And we used a 2% fee. So I wasn't even using the fees that are 3.15 to 4.15. And that was, I got those numbers from an article done by Forbes a few years back that says the actual cost of a mutual fund is 3 to 4%. I didn't use those numbers. I used 2. And so he wants to do rental properties. That's what his dad does. He wants to buy rental properties. And I said, so if you want to take the match at 6%, whatever, it's totally his money. He gets to decide what he wants to do. But do you want to put the 15% there and then you can't buy the rental properties? You're putting any liquid money there, Can you pay the tax now, buy the rental property, have the tax write-offs to offset the money coming to you? And so to him, it just made sense. But again, he gets to do whatever he wants, but he is in his 20s. And so same thing that I tell everybody in their 20s, if you have a good job, then I want you to stick as much away as you possibly can now before the kids and the wife and all this stuff come along, right? Because then, us wives, we sometimes, and kids, cost some extra cash. And I say sometimes because not every woman likes to spend money. I know some guys that like to spend more money than the women. Okay. Another lady that was doing rental properties, her husband has an off the farm, or has a business. Sorry. They aren't farmers either. So her husband has a business, and this I found interesting. He used his 401k to start a business. And there is a way to do that without paying taxes, but it has to be a C Corp. I did not know you could do this. I learned a lot this week. So here's the thing though. A C Corp is always taxed at 20%. Doesn't matter. The C Corp is taxed at 20%, and then any money that you pay for payroll is taxed at whatever your payroll is. And so instead of just taking the money out of the IRA or 401k, whatever it was that he had, he used it to start this C Corp, but now he can't take any distributions out of the C Corporation. He can't take any cash out or whatever. And I don't have a C Corp, so I'm not exactly sure how it works. But he's scared to take anything out of there because if he does, he gets taxed on it. So folks, you're going to pay the tax now or you're going to pay the tax later. It really doesn't matter when you pay the tax. So if he's got rental properties and they're not making a ton of income because they're still in the process of buying, they're still in the process of fixing things up. So why not take the money out now, pay the little bit of tax because we've got the write-offs on the other side. But now we can be an S Corp that we can take distributions. And here's the thing, with an S Corp, if you take a distribution, that distribution is not federal, state, Social Security, Medicare. It's only federal and state. So we're saving about 14%. There are times that it makes sense to be an S Corp versus a C Corp. And so I just encouraged her, you need to talk to your accountant to see which one is going to be better. Because short term, we have a lot of cost into these rentals. Long term, they're going to be paid off. And now we have all this cash flow coming in. What do we want to do? Because she wants way more rental properties. That's what they do. But they have a little bit of cash on hand. And she was wondering if they could start a policy with it. Well, they need a roof. So they kind of need to get the roof done because we don't need more damage to the house because we have a bad roof. So we kind of need to get the roof done. And then guess what? We pay ourselves back and that becomes a policy premium payment. So I am going to check into these 401k to C Corp things, but I'm not seeing the benefit there because we still have government control now of our C Corporation and how our money comes out of that. Just pay the tax. You're going to pay it now or pay it later. And later, it's probably going to be higher. Oh, that's it. That was the end of my list. So, that was this week. I had some interesting meetings and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about all kinds of other stuff that doesn't apply to infinite banking. Because why? I love talking to my clients and getting ideas about what they're doing. So I learned a lot about food trucks and how you can lose money very quickly and how you can make money. We don't really have food trucks around here. We have some, but we will eat out of a food truck. This is really silly. We will go to the fair and we will eat out of a food truck, and we are like all about it, right? But if they're sitting on a street corner, you never see anybody there. It's like, oh, they might not be safe food. But you ate there at the fair. We have a food truck like one weekend where, that's at a park, and then you can go get stuff from the food truck or here and there. But for the most part, we don't do a lot with food trucks around here. So I did not know a lot about them, but I do now. And it's kind of exciting. Because, if you think about it, he can do direct consumer beef. He could plant, Steve, I thought of you. He could plant flowers. Steve's wife has an indoor greenhouse, and she provides flowers to florists. He could do something like that out of his food truck. Because think about the men that are like, oh, it's my anniversary today. And some women like flowers. I prefer to not have flowers in a vase. I prefer to have them in my yard. But some women love flowers. And so while he's going getting his hot dog for lunch, he can get flowers for his anniversary, for his birthday, for whatever. Because maybe he's apologizing for something. I don't know. But I'm like, you should have flowers on your food truck. He said he's got some t-shirts, and it's really quite an awesome little business model. I just have never thought about it. So anyway, I got to learn all kinds of cool stuff this week and see some numbers that even I have not run before. And so I'm always learning. I absolutely do not know everything. Here's the other thing. One of these guys had already met with another life insurance salesperson. I don't know. He said it was somebody else on Infinite Banking. And he said, but, he said they knew Infinite Banking and it made sense. And, I'm sure they knew what they were doing, but I was not going to work with him because he basically made me sound like an idiot and told me he can't do anything for me. And so, yes, I did tell. I do get real with clients, obviously, as you heard this morning. If you don't have any money, I am going to get a little bit real with you and put some responsibility back on you. However, what I appreciate is he's doing his due diligence. We are not all meant to work together, and not everybody is meant to work with me. Not everybody is meant to work with other people. And so if he decides not to do business with me, fine with me, doesn't matter. He needs to find the person that he trusts and that he knows will help him. If you are too scared to ask somebody questions, that is not going to be a good relationship. This is a relationship about teaching and making sure that you are constantly knowing, how do I use that money? What do I use it on? Those are all things I help my existing clients with. And so if somebody isn't going to be able, if you're going to be too scared to ask those questions, it might not be the best relationship. There are people that I won't work with. I do turn clients down because if you're not going to try to understand, or if you're going to treat my staff inappropriately, that does not fly with me. You do not mistreat my employees. And so some of those things I will too go the same way and say, you know what, this isn't going to work. It doesn't happen often, but it happens. And, I like my ladies. I like my ladies, and they're sweet and they're good to people. And so both ways, if for some reason they would mistreat somebody, it wouldn't be good either. Okay, that's all I have for today. As always, if you need me, message me here, email me, MaryJo@WithoutTheBank, whatever you want, wherever you want to get a hold of me, I'm good with that. But until next week, I am out. I am going to go clean the remodel because it's not getting done appropriately. Let's just say that. You can get a little gist of that on my podcast today as well. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.